Hello and welcome to Code Your English. I'm really happy you're here today. Whether this is your first time listening or you've been following the podcast for a while, I want to thank you for spending this time with me. I know that many of you are here because you want to improve your English, to practice listening and speaking, and also because you're interested in personal growth, in becoming a stronger, more confident person. That's exactly what we're going to do today. We'll talk about an idea that I believe can change how you see yourself, and maybe even how you live your life. Today's topic is something many of us struggle with, sometimes without even realizing it. We are going to talk about why we should stop trying to fix ourselves. I know that might sound strange at first. After all, aren't we always told that we need to improve, to change, to work on our weaknesses? And yes, growth is important. But there's a big difference between wanting to grow and feeling like you need to fix yourself because you believe something is wrong with you. That's the idea I want to explore with you today. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever felt that you are not enough just as you are? Maybe you've looked in the mirror and thought, I should be smarter, or stronger, or more successful. Or maybe you've compared yourself to someone else and felt small or unworthy. Have you ever had that voice inside your head telling you that you need to change in order to be accepted, to be loved, or even to be happy? If your answer is yes, and I believe many of us have felt this way at some point, you are not alone. In today's episode, I want to gently challenge that idea. I want to invite you to think differently about yourself. What if you are not broken? What if you don't need fixing? What if the idea that you have to constantly repair yourself is actually holding you back from living a full and joyful life? These are big questions, and I'm not here to give you all the answers. Instead, I want to open the door to a different way of thinking, a way that can help you find peace with yourself while you continue to learn, grow, and move forward. So, as we begin this journey together, I encourage you to listen with an open heart. Try to notice your thoughts as we talk about this. And remember, this is not about being perfect or having everything figured out. This is about learning to be kind to yourself, to see yourself with more understanding, and to maybe take the first step toward self-acceptance. Let's get started. Where does this fixing mindset come from? So, where does this idea come from? The idea that we need to fix ourselves. Why do so many of us believe that we're not enough as we are? Let's take a closer look at that. I think it's important to understand this, because once we see where this mindset comes from, we can start to question it. We can begin to see that maybe it's not our voice telling us we're not enough. Maybe it's a voice we picked up from somewhere else. Often, this mindset starts when we're very young. Think about it. As children, we are naturally curious, playful, and open. But little by little, we start to get messages from the world around us. Maybe it's from parents, teachers, or other adults who want the best for us, but who also point out our mistakes again and again. Don't do that. It's wrong. Why can't you be more like your brother? You should try harder. Of course, feedback is a normal part of growing up. But when the focus is always on what we're doing wrong or what we should change, it's easy to start believing that we are not good enough as we are. This is where self-doubt can begin. Then, as we grow older, we meet other influences. And one of the biggest today is the media. Social media, advertising, movies, magazines, they all show us images of what we should be. The perfect body, the perfect job, the perfect relationship. And when we compare ourselves to these images, it's easy to feel like we don't measure up. Social comparison becomes a habit. We scroll through our phones and see people who seem to have it all, and we wonder, what's wrong with me? This is another way the mindset of fixing ourselves grows stronger. We think, if only I change this about myself, then I'll be happy. And let's not forget perfectionism. Have you ever felt that no matter what you do, it's never quite good enough? That's perfectionism at work. It tells us that we must do everything perfectly or it doesn't count. The problem is, perfection is impossible. So when we aim for it, we set ourselves up for setbacks. We fail to meet this impossible standard, and then we tell ourselves, "See, you're not good enough." This cycle feeds the belief that we need to keep fixing ourselves to finally be okay. I want to share a little personal example here. I remember when I first started public speaking. I used to believe that I needed to be the perfect speaker. No mistakes, no hesitation, no nervousness. Before every talk, I would practice again and again, trying to get every word just right. And you know what? I was so focused on trying to fix every little thing about myself, my voice, my posture, my words, that I stopped enjoying the experience. I was so worried about getting everything perfect that I forgot the real point: to connect with people, to share an idea, to learn and grow. The truth is, I didn't need fixing. I needed to let go of the idea of perfection. Maybe you've had a similar experience. Have you ever avoided doing something because you were afraid of not doing it perfectly? Have you ever thought, "I'll wait until I'm better before I try"? So now we've seen that this mindset doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from years of hearing messages that tell us we need to be better, do better, look better. From comparing ourselves to others, from trying to reach impossible standards. And the result is that many of us walk around thinking that we are somehow broken, that we need to be fixed before we can really start living. But what if that's not true? What if this mindset is just a story we've learned? And what if we can learn a new one? As we move on, I invite you to reflect on this. Where do you think your own fixing mindset comes from? Can you think of a moment in your life when you first started believing that you weren't enough as you are? Don't judge yourself for it. Just notice it. That's the first step toward change. Not fixing yourself, but understanding yourself. The hidden cost of always trying to fix yourself. Now let's talk about something that we don't always see right away. The hidden cost of always trying to fix yourself. You see, when we believe that we are not good enough as we are, we often push ourselves harder and harder to change. At first, this might seem positive. We tell ourselves that we are being responsible, that we are working to become better people. But over time, this mindset can lead to problems that can affect both our mental and physical health. One of the biggest hidden costs is burnout. When you feel that you have to constantly improve yourself, it's easy to fall into the trap of working too hard. Imagine a person at work who always tries to be perfect. Maybe they stay late at the office every night, always saying yes to extra tasks, always trying to prove that they're good enough. They might stop taking breaks, stop spending time with friends, or stop doing things that bring them joy. At first, this effort might be praised by others. People might say, "Wow, you're so dedicated." But inside, that person might feel tired, empty, or even lost. Have you ever worked so hard to change yourself that you ended up exhausted? That's burnout. It happens when we give so much of our energy that there's nothing left for ourselves. Another cost of this mindset is low self-esteem. When we are always trying to fix ourselves, we focus more on what we think is wrong with us than on what's good. We might stop seeing our strengths. For example, Maybe you are a kind, thoughtful person, but instead of noticing that, you only think about how you aren't confident enough, or how you don't speak English perfectly, or how you aren't as successful as someone else. Over time, this way of thinking can make you believe that you have little value, even when that isn't true at all. You start to see yourself only through your so-called weaknesses. This can hurt your confidence, and it can stop you from trying new things because you're so focused on what you believe you need to fix. And let's not forget about anxiety. When you believe that you need to fix yourself, you might feel constant pressure. Pressure to act in the right way, say the right thing, look the right way. This pressure can make everyday situations feel stressful. Imagine someone going to a social event and thinking, "I have to be perfect so people will like me." That kind of thinking can make it hard to relax and be yourself. Instead of enjoying the moment, you're busy worrying about how others see you. And the truth is, no matter how hard you try, you can't control what everyone thinks of you. This kind of anxiety can make life feel heavy, and it can stop you from feeling free. I want to give you another example, this time about relationships. Think of a person who always tries to change who they are to make a partner happy. Maybe they act differently, hide parts of themselves, or agree with things they don't believe in, just to be accepted. At first, this might seem like it's helping the relationship, but after a while, that person may feel sad or even angry inside because they aren't being true to themselves. They're always trying to fix who they are so that someone else will love them. But the cost is that they lose their own sense of self. Have you ever done that? Changed who you are just to please others? And how did that feel in the end? The hidden cost of this mindset is that it keeps us stuck in a cycle. We try to fix ourselves to feel better, but instead we often end up feeling worse. We feel tired, we lose confidence, and we feel more anxious. And the more we feel these things, the more we think, see? I really do need fixing. But the problem isn't who we are. The problem is that we've been trying so hard to be someone we're not, or to reach some idea of perfect that doesn't really exist. So, as we end this part, I want to ask you again, have you ever worked so hard to change yourself that you ended up feeling tired, sad, or even empty? Have you ever tried so hard to be good enough that you forgot what makes you you? If you have, I want you to know, you're not alone. Many people feel this way, and it's not because you're broken. It's because you've been trying too hard to fix something that doesn't need fixing. As we continue, let's explore what it means to stop trying to fix ourselves and instead focus on growth and self-acceptance, because that's where real peace begins. The difference between growth and fixing. Let's take a moment now to look at something that is really important: the difference between growth and fixing. These two ideas might seem similar at first, but they are actually very different. And understanding this difference can help you see yourself in a new way. A way that is more kind, more open, and more honest. So, what is growth? Growth is about expanding who you are. It's about learning, changing, and becoming more of yourself, not less. When we grow, we are not trying to erase parts of ourselves or hide who we are. We are adding to ourselves. Growth is natural. It's like a tree. Think about a tree for a moment. Does a tree try to fix itself? Number. It doesn't sit there thinking, "Oh no, my branches aren't good enough. My leaves should be greener." A tree simply grows. It reaches for the sun. Its roots go deeper into the earth, and its branches spread out wide. Sometimes a branch breaks, or some leaves fall. But the tree doesn't see itself as broken. It just continues to grow in the way that is natural for it. In the same way, we as people can grow. We can learn new things, build new skills, and understand ourselves better, but without thinking that we are broken or that we need to be fixed. Now let's think about what fixing means. Fixing suggests that something is broken or wrong. When we try to fix ourselves, it often comes from the belief that we are not okay the way we are. We think, if I can change this part of me, then I will finally be good enough. But this way of thinking can be harmful. It makes us focus too much on our so-called weaknesses. It makes us believe that there is something wrong with us at our core. And when we believe that, it's hard to feel happy or at peace, no matter how much we change. Fixing comes from a place of fear. The fear that we are not enough. The fear that we won't be accepted or loved unless we change. Here's another image to think about. Imagine you are a beautiful piece of handmade pottery. Maybe you have some small cracks, some spots where the color is not perfect. When you try to fix yourself, you might feel like you need to cover up those cracks, paint over the spots, or make yourself look perfect. But what if those cracks are part of what makes you beautiful? In Japan, there is an art called kintsugi. It's the art of repairing broken pottery using gold. Instead of hiding the cracks, kintsugi highlights them. The cracks become part of the design. They tell a story. The piece is not less valuable because of its cracks. It becomes even more special. What if we thought about ourselves in this way? What if our imperfections are actually part of what makes us unique, strong, and beautiful? So, the next time you think about personal change, I invite you to ask yourself this: am I growing, or am I trying to erase parts of myself? Growth means accepting who you are now while also moving forward. Fixing, on the other hand, often means rejecting who you are now because you believe you're not good enough. Growth is gentle. It allows for mistakes. It understands that no one is perfect. Fixing is harsh. It tries to force change. It makes us feel small and not good enough. Let me give you an example. Think of someone who is learning English. Maybe that person is you. When you are focused on growth, you enjoy the learning process. You make mistakes, but you see them as part of the journey. You feel proud when you learn a new word or understand something new. But when you are focused on fixing, you might feel ashamed of your mistakes. You might say to yourself, I have to fix my bad English before I can speak to people. I'm not good enough yet. And that mindset can stop you from practicing, from connecting with others, and from growing. The truth is, you don't need to erase parts of yourself. You don't need to hide who you are. You don't need to fix yourself. What you need, what we all need, is to grow, to open up, to become more of who we really are. And growth doesn't come from fear. It comes from love. Love for learning, love for life, and most importantly, love for yourself. So take a deep breath and reflect for a moment. Are you growing, or are you trying to fix yourself? Are you reaching out like a tree toward the sun? Or are you trying to cut off your own branches because you think they're not good enough? I encourage you to choose growth. Choose the path that allows you to keep becoming, without fear, without shame, and without the idea that you are broken. Because you're not. You're a living, growing person, and that is more than enough. Why you're not broken. Embracing imperfection. Let's take some time now to talk about something that I think is at the heart of our topic today. I want to remind you, and maybe help you see more clearly, that you are not broken. Yes, you heard that right. You are not broken. You do not need to be fixed. You are a human being, and that means you are imperfect. And that's okay. In fact, that's more than okay. That's what makes you human. So many of us walk through life thinking that something is wrong with us. Maybe we feel this way because of mistakes we've made. Maybe it's because of the way we look, or because we don't always say or do the right thing. Maybe we compare ourselves to people who seem to have it all together, and we think, why can't I be like that? But the truth is, no one has it all together. No one is perfect. Every person you admire, every person you see on social media, in movies, or even in your own life, they all have things they struggle with. They all have moments of doubt, moments where they feel small or unsure. That's just part of being human. In fact, there is a beautiful idea from Japanese culture that I think can help us see this more clearly. It's the idea of wabi-sabi. Wabi-sabi is about finding beauty in imperfection. It's about accepting that life is not perfect, that things change, things age, things break, and that this is where their true beauty lies. For example, imagine a simple old bowl. Maybe the bowl has a crack in it, or the color has faded over time. In many cultures, we might see that bowl as damaged or not good enough. But through the idea of wabi-sabi, we see that bowl as beautiful exactly because of its imperfections. The crack tells a story. The faded color shows that it has been used and loved. The bowl is unique, and its imperfection is part of what makes it special. And the same is true for you. Your imperfections, the things you think are wrong with you, are actually part of what makes you who you are. They tell your story. They show that you have lived, that you have tried, that you have faced challenges and kept going. You are not a machine that needs to be fixed. You are a person who is learning, growing, and becoming. When we try to hide our imperfections or pretend they don't exist, we also hide the parts of ourselves that are most real, most human, and most beautiful. I want you to take a moment now and think about this. What are the parts of yourself that you usually try to hide or change? Maybe it's something about the way you look. Maybe it's your English level, or the way you speak, or the fact that you get nervous in certain situations. Now ask yourself, what if these parts of you are not mistakes? What if they are simply part of what makes you you? There's a phrase I'd like to share with you today. It's simple but powerful. You are enough as you are. Let me say that again. You are enough as you are. You don't need to be perfect to be worthy. You don't need to have everything figured out to deserve love, respect, or happiness. You don't need to fix yourself in order to live a good life. You are already enough, just as you are right now, in this moment. Of course, that doesn't mean we stop learning or stop growing. Growth is a natural and wonderful part of life. But when we grow from a place of love, not fear, that growth feels different. It's not about trying to erase who we are. It's about becoming more of who we truly are. It's about opening up to life, not closing ourselves off because we think we aren't good enough. So as you continue on your journey, whether it's your journey of learning English, building confidence, improving a skill, or simply trying to live with more joy, I encourage you to remember this. You don't need to be perfect to belong. You don't need to fix yourself to be worthy. Your imperfections are not a problem. They are part of what makes you real, part of what makes you beautiful, part of what makes you human. Take a deep breath right now. Let that idea sink in. Let go, even just a little, of the belief that you have to change everything about yourself to be okay. Instead, try to see yourself through gentler eyes. See the cracks, the struggles, the imperfections, and see them as part of the art of your life. Because just like that old bowl, you are not broken, you are whole, and you are enough. What happens when you stop trying to fix yourself? Let's take a moment now to imagine something different. Imagine what your life could feel like if you stopped trying so hard to fix yourself. What could your days look like if you truly believed that you were already whole, that you didn't need to be perfect, or change everything about yourself to deserve peace, happiness, and love? Just sit with that thought for a moment. Because when we stop trying to fix ourselves, something beautiful begins to happen. We start to feel lighter. We begin to feel a kind of emotional freedom that maybe we didn't even know we were missing. When you stop believing that you are broken, the pressure starts to disappear. You don't wake up every day thinking about what's wrong with you or what you need to change before you can finally feel okay. Instead, you can begin to appreciate who you are right now. This doesn't mean you stop growing or learning, but the energy behind that growth changes. It's no longer about trying to fix yourself. It's about enjoying the journey of becoming. Think about how much time and energy many of us spend trying to hide our so-called flaws. Maybe we avoid speaking up in a meeting because we're afraid we'll say the wrong thing. Maybe we don't try something new, like joining a group or learning a skill, because we tell ourselves we're not good enough yet. When you stop trying to fix yourself, you can let go of those fears. You can allow yourself to speak up, to try new things, to make mistakes, because you're no longer afraid that one mistake means you've failed as a person. Let me share a simple example. I remember a time when I was learning a new language. I felt embarrassed every time I made a mistake. I would practice in private for hours, trying to get every word, every sentence perfect before I dared to speak in front of someone else. I kept telling myself, I need to fix my speaking before I can really use this language. But all that did was slow me down. It made me feel nervous and unsure of myself. One day, I decided to let that idea go. I reminded myself, I'm not broken. I'm learning. And when I did that, everything changed. I stopped worrying so much about being perfect. I focused on connection, on sharing my ideas, on enjoying the process. And you know what? My language skills improved much faster, and I felt more confident and free. When you stop trying to fix yourself, you also start to trust yourself more. You begin to believe that you can handle whatever comes your way. You don't need to control everything. You don't need to be perfect to deserve respect or success or love. And this brings a sense of peace. The kind of peace that comes when you know that you are enough as you are. Can you picture that feeling? Can you imagine waking up in the morning without that voice in your head saying, "You're not good enough yet"? Can you imagine going through your day without constantly checking and rechecking yourself, trying to make sure you're doing everything perfectly? What could your life feel like if you believed you were already whole? Maybe you would feel calmer. Maybe you would feel more joyful. Maybe you would take more chances, speak your mind more freely, and live more fully. I encourage you to think about this. What would change for you if you stopped trying to fix yourself? How would your relationships change? How would your work or your studies feel different? How would you feel different? I'm not saying this is easy. After all, many of us have spent years believing that we need to fix ourselves. It takes time to let go of that idea. But every small step you take toward self-acceptance brings you closer to that emotional freedom. So, as we move forward, I invite you to reflect on this. What if you could stop fighting with yourself? What if you could start being your own friend instead of your own biggest critic? What might be possible for you then? The truth is, When you stop trying to fix yourself, you open the door to a new way of living, a way that is lighter, kinder, and filled with more peace. And that, I believe, is a beautiful way to live. Practical ways to practice. Self-acceptance. Now that we've talked about why you're not broken and what happens when you stop trying to fix yourself, let's take this idea a little further. Let's talk about what you can do in daily life to practice self-acceptance. Because while understanding the idea is important, what really makes a difference is how we live it. Self-acceptance is not something that happens in one day. It's something we build, step by step, through small, simple actions that we can practice over time. One of the first ways to practice self-acceptance is through mindful self-talk. This means becoming more aware of the way you speak to yourself in your own mind. Many of us are harder on ourselves than we are on anyone else. We might say things to ourselves like, "You're so stupid," or "You'll never get it right," or "You're not good enough." These words can become automatic. We don't even notice we're saying them. But they affect how we feel about ourselves. So, what can we do? We can start by noticing when that negative voice shows up. And when it does, we can choose kinder words. For example, instead of saying, "I always mess up," you could say, "I made a mistake, but I'm learning." Instead of thinking, "I'm not good enough," try, "I'm doing my best, and that's enough today." Even small changes in the way we speak to ourselves can help us feel more calm and confident. Another simple practice is journaling. Taking a few minutes each day to write down your thoughts and feelings can help you understand yourself better. It can also help you see the good things that are already in your life. You don't have to write long pages. You can start small. Maybe each evening you can write down one thing you're proud of, one small success you had, or one kind thing you did for yourself or someone else. This helps train your mind to focus on what's working, not just on what you think needs to change. And over time, this builds a more positive and accepting attitude toward yourself. It's also very helpful to pause and appreciate small wins. Often, we are so focused on big goals that we forget to celebrate the small steps we take. But small steps matter. In fact, they are what lead to real change. For example, maybe you spoke up in a meeting even though you felt nervous. That's a win. Maybe you practiced English for 10 minutes today. That's a win. Maybe you took time to rest when you were tired instead of pushing yourself too hard. That's a win, too. When you notice these moments and take a second to say, "That was good. I'm proud of that," you strengthen your sense of self-acceptance. You remind yourself that you are making progress, and that's enough. Another thing that can really support self-acceptance is using gentle mantras or phrases that you can repeat to yourself, especially during difficult moments. These simple sentences can help calm your mind and bring you back to the present. Some phrases you might like are, "I am enough," "I grow at my own pace," "I am learning," and that's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. You can say these words silently to yourself when you feel self-doubt, or even write them down and put them somewhere you'll see them, like on your desk or your phone screen. The more you repeat these kind, supportive phrases, the more they can replace that harsh inner voice that tells you you're not good enough. All of these practices, mindful self-talk, journaling, celebrating small wins, and using positive phrases, are simple, but they can have a big impact. And the best part is, you can start them right now. You don't need any special tools or perfect conditions. You just need a little time and a gentle reminder that self-acceptance is something you can build, one small moment at a time. As we come to the end of today's episode, I want to leave you with a gentle invitation, a simple action you can take this week to begin living these ideas in your daily life. I'd like to ask you to notice the moments when you judge yourself or when you feel that old pressure to fix yourself. Maybe it happens when you make a mistake at work or at school. Maybe it happens when you look in the mirror or when you hear your own voice speaking English. Just try to notice when that inner voice appears, the one that says, "You should have done better," or "You're not enough yet." The first step toward change is always awareness. When you start to see these moments clearly, you can choose a different response. You can remind yourself that you are not broken. You can choose kindness instead of criticism. This week, when you catch yourself in those moments of self-judgment, try pausing for just a second. Take a slow, deep breath and say something supportive to yourself. It can be something as simple as, "It's okay, I'm learning," or "I'm doing my best," or even just, "I am enough." These small acts of kindness toward yourself can slowly change the way you see yourself. They can help you build a stronger, kinder relationship with who you are right now. Not some perfect future version of yourself, but you, just as you are today. I also want to encourage you to take this conversation beyond this podcast. If there's a friend or family member you trust, try sharing what you learned today. Talk about these ideas, about self-acceptance, about letting go of the need to fix yourself, about embracing imperfection. When we speak about these things, we don't just grow in our personal journey. We also practice using our English in meaningful ways. Having these kinds of conversations helps you connect your language learning with real, important topics. And who knows? You might find that the person you speak with has also felt the same pressures you have. You might discover that you are not alone in these feelings, and that can be a very comforting thing. And if you found this episode helpful, please consider sharing it with someone else who might need to hear this message. Maybe there is someone in your life who is also struggling with self-doubt, who feels tired of trying to be perfect, who is ready to hear that they don't need to fix themselves. By sharing this episode, you can help spread a little more kindness and support. And at the same time, you're helping yourself by reflecting on these ideas and making them part of your life. Before we close, I want to leave you with one final message. I hope you will carry these words with you as you go through your week. You are not broken. You are becoming. Let me say that again. You are not broken. You are becoming. Every mistake, every step forward, every moment of doubt, all of it is part of your journey. You are not a problem that needs to be solved. You are a person who is growing, learning, and becoming more of who you truly are. And that is a beautiful thing. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I hope this episode gave you something to think about, and I hope it reminded you to be a little kinder to yourself. I look forward to being with you again in the next episode. Until then, take care of yourself. And remember, you are enough, just as you are.